So I've opened up my Mathematica Pro notebook. I'm going to assign codes to my XML. Now I can't pull in the balance sheet and profit and loss XML. There's profit and loss and balance sheet XML reports month by month because there's an issue with the fact that we changed the Excel XML plugin after the initial programmer had put this together. So he says that there's an extra line in our XML output that's causing a bug there, so that won't work. We come to profit and loss. I know we'll just show you how we'll code out the profit and loss. So we import all those profit and loss items. Now you'll notice some of them are totals, and that came out of the XML. So I've got to import my rules now. You see, that's something that's quite annoying. It doesn't revert straight back to the folder where it was, so you've got to keep navigating back. But anyway, profit and loss rules. So there's our profit and loss rules for that XML grouping type, and you can see that I've already pre-coded all of these. So when I say coded, we've mapped them to our AASB taxonomy structure, which is per that OSDAD Excel file that is in the Dropbox. So let's just clear out all the things that we don't need now. This is something that you do seem to have to do on a second run. So regardless of whether I clear these out each time I present this, and I can't save the map without having to re-delete these each time. But anyway, what I do there is I then delete checked, and we can then view what we have. But just to show you how this mapping tool works, you can see I've mapped in the revenue items, mapped in the expenses. Now you'll see that IT consultants wouldn't be expenses, cost of goods sold, purchases, but the limitation with this particular application as it stands at the moment is that I cannot simply drop this just straight to expenses, because then IT consultants won't, the fact value in the line item won't be displayed, and it won't show in the totals. The way that it's been designed is that it has to be nested to the very lowest end of any particular nest. So cost of goods, this is the only one where just to demonstrate, the only one that I can actually get to right to the bottom. You can see purchases is right at the bottom, but ultimately IT consultants is simply an expense. It just doesn't fall into a specific category. Like you can see, expenses, printing and stationery expenses, postage. These are all AASB items, so they all have their own particular nesting, and that's something that we'll have to discuss and decide on, is whether we need to create a specific nest for something like IT consultants, or whether we can just rest it straight onto or into expenses directly. So now that that is all in, I can display, and you'll see there's nothing to show until I select profit and loss. And then we've got, and you can see here there's an issue here because income from trade, the reason that this is showing like this, and there's a 30 June there, these are month by month, but I did do an annual, so there was an annual import, and the fact that I did an annual import, this system cannot recognize that duration is from 1st of July 2011 to 30 June 2012, which is a flaw. So you can see here, I'll simply I'll change my my anchor. So my anchor point's the most recent point in time. Typically, from an accountant's point of view, the anchored point in time should always sit over here. So this is round the wrong way, but that's just how it is, unfortunately. Probably we can change that as we go forward. 30 June should be there, etc. You don't typically see sets of accounts where your most recent is to the far right and most recent is typically to the far left. So this is all this thing does at the moment. You can change out what you can see, change your anchor point. So you can change the way your dates reflect. And we can then drill down into what got pulled in, so we can see employment costs, etc. We can see the breakout of whatever line item it is that we pulled into. Employment costs, rent and occupancy. So that's pretty much our drill down feature. To be honest, I don't like the way that this sits within all these borders and stuff. I find that quite cumbersome. But ultimately, we should have the ability to probably print something in a nice print preview. So there should be a few print previews available. So we've got our comparatives, and then we can run variance against anything here. So we can change the viewpoint on that. Typically I'd like red and green arrows to show which way these things are going, but you can then, so as long as you have your anchor point, you can then anchor your anchor point at that duration aspect, and we can do a variance against a different aspect. Now don't forget that this aspect that we're showing here is annual, so probably we should go to the monthly one, and now we can do a proper variance analysis between month of June and month of November 2011. Break that out, break out our income from trade, etc. Now so that's how it works.